Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. We'll be talking about Justice League. So a bit of background on the film. I saw it at the cinema, you didn't, which was back in November.
No.
I saw it twice at the cinema.
I think I fancied it till I saw some reviews. And I didn't.
Well, there was a lot of bad history of the film in terms of Zack Snyder was directing it, and then he finished a cut, screened it for Warner Brothers, and then basically, I don't think they liked what they saw. There was a bit of a story out there because his daughter had passed away. There was a story that he'd quit over that, but I think it turns out that Warner Brothers wanted Joss Whedon on board.
Oh, really?
Joss Whedon came in and reshot. Well, I don't know how much he reshot, but it might even be like 50% of the movie. And then there's also a rumour that Kevin Sugihara, who's in charge of Warner Brothers, wanted the film to be only 2 hours long. Which, if you make a film that needs to be 2 hours long, that's fine. But if you made a film that's supposed to be 3 hours long and you cut it down to 2 hours, I think that's when you're asking for
I do
trouble.
think that was one of the problems with Batman vs Superman, though, where I thought it was way... Especially the extended cut, anyway, not the theatrical cut, but from what I hear, the theatrical cut didn't really make sense. So
Yeah,
I think that's one thing about Zack Snyder that, for me, if he was going to keep making DC movies, it's the wrong choice then if he's going to make 3 hour movies, because people aren't going to sit there for 3 hours.
I've said for a long time, Warner Brothers weren't happy with Batman vs Superman, so they should have got rid of Snyder at that point and delayed Justice League instead of getting into film it. And apparently there were lots of on-set rewrites by different writers, and it got a bit of a jump. I think if I think anything's happened, I think Zack Snyder's got to a point where he's like, right, you don't want this for my film, so do what you want.
Possibly.
Yeah. So obviously they made the film, released it. It wasn't a massive hit, but apparently Warner Brothers were not expecting it to be. But if you weren't expecting your film to be right, why would you not just release the version?
I mean, I wonder as well how quickly Joss Whedon was supposed to be available, because if he was available, then why didn't they just let him make Justice League? Because obviously he started the Marvel thing.
Yeah, well, I think he came in on board later because, he's since been fired by Warner Brothers because of some comments he apparently made. He's supposed to direct Batgirl, and I think there's been a lot of rejigging with DC, and we'll talk about that on another show. But basically, they're now trying to. What they decided to do is basically they thought, right, we'll get Justice League out. That's the end of the Snyder films, and then we'll move forward after that, because obviously the big hit and the big golden jewel in the crown was Wonder Woman, which was released about 6 months before Justice League. So. That's where we're at, and then Justice League comes out, and then it's obviously apparently they weren't expecting it to do much, and it didn't. It sort of did okay. It was a flop, but it was kind of like it still made a fair bit of money. If you know, it's not.
Did it just make its money back, or did it make money back?
Well, they don't even know if it made its money back, but it basically it had. I can't remember what the opening weekend was, something like 100 million, which isn't a lot for a tentpole, but it was in November as well, so it was a bit. Yeah. But anyway, they released the film, it did what it did. Some people liked it, some people didn't, some people were in the middle. Critics didn't really like it again. It was almost like they were trying to maybe overplease the critics and the fans of different films. So basically, Justice League came out, and then it just was what it was, which was, some people say it's a bit of a Frankenstein film where they put bits together and it doesn't quite mesh.
Yeah, I suppose there was a bit of that, but I'll just start off by saying, to be honest, I really liked it.
Alright.
I really liked it. I really enjoyed it, and it might be a bit controversial to say, but I thought it was better than Black Panther, personally.
Oh, really?
I really enjoyed it, yeah. I think I can forgive a film for some bad things when it's fun to watch, and I thought this was a fun movie to watch.
See, I thought that about Suicide Squad. I thought that was fun to watch, and some people absolutely hate that movie, but I was
I would say with it, yeah.
I think much like Suicide Squad, you had good characters.
Yeah.
And when you've got good characters, I think some people will enjoy that.
Yeah.
But should we get into spoilers then?
Well, I was just going to say, going back to you saying there were bits that were different, like the beginning where Batman, that opening scene was definitely Zack Snyder all over it. It looked absolutely amazing, was it not him?
It was Joss Whedon.
Really? Because it looked absolutely amazing.
We'll come on to that, right? Let's what we'll do is we'll that's our non-spoiler thoughts. And then we'll get some dislikes out of the way, and we'll just get Mustache Gate out of the way, right? You can really tell.
Well, I want to know, because I don't know if you know this, but how many scenes were actually refilmed? Because the amount of times I looked and I thought, it don't look like that's his real... I mean, the bit that looked really bad was the beginning one. It just looked horrendous.
By the sounds of it, most of Superman stuff was reshot, which is amazing to me. But at the same time, that's amazing to me that there's also maybe another 20-30 minutes of footage of Superman that we haven't seen. It's almost like, why was it?
Yeah, there were definitely bits where you knew that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to get out of the way because
it cut and went to something else, and you thought there's definitely something that should be there. But
on my first viewing, I was looking for it too much, and it distracted a bit. I still enjoyed the film, but because I'll just say I like the film. I think it's a fun film. It was very distracting for me, and I think it was fine in some moments and not in others. Like, I think the worst of it was probably the beginning and the cornfield with Lois.
That was obviously that looked a bit hokey,
when he spoke to Batman in the scene where he's fighting the Justice League, I thought it looked fine. It didn't look bad to me. And even in the Superman bit, I think because of the moment, I liked the moment so much, it probably didn't bother me. And then obviously we won't go into that bit yet, because I'll get into likes, but the end scene, that's fine. There's no... And obviously there was the mid-credits thing, which we'll get to later. But I thought you could tell there as well. But it was one of them things where once I've known about it, and I've watched it a few times now, I'm almost like, it don't bother me anymore, because I'm like, I know it's there. It's fine. So, you ready to move on to dislikes?
Yeah, I'll just say, if anybody's watching on YouTube, we keep wiping his foreheads and stuff. It's horribly warm today. Horribly warm.
And my hair fever is acting up, So, can I just start on dislikes before you start?
Yeah, go for it,
Well, I just want to go back to this. I think losing Zack Snyder, it made the film feel different to the two previous films, Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman. It didn't feel...
Yeah.
And I'll add to that, the composer, because they got Danny Elfman in, his music sounded very different, even though I actually do like a lot of Danny Elfman's music in this, and gets a lot of stick where it's not credited. I think losing, because they were going to get Junkie XL teamed up with Hans Zimmer on Batman vs Superman, I think losing the Zimmer music, which there was tiny bits of it, I think it made it didn't feel like the same.
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean, but I think because they were going for a more fun angle, maybe that's why there were the change in music. Because Hans Zimmer's music in like Man of Steel is quite serious, isn't it? It's not that adventure fun. I think
that's why they changed it. Yeah, I'm going to get to that. But for me, I just think it made it feel like they brightened the film up as well, apparently, which is why some of the suits look a bit weird. Like Superman's suit looks a bit weird. You can see the shiny bits underneath.
I think sometimes that was a bit detrimental. I think there's a bit where Ben Affleck, is he walking through a park or there's some sort of water? I seem to remember.
There is a bit where he's walking through a park with Diana.
Yeah. That scene, to me, you could really tell. It didn't look right. You were like, that is definitely... Well... I mean, I could be wrong, but to me that scene just looked like it being brightened up. But other than that, I didn't think it was massively noticeable.
Shall we get to some of the CG? Because obviously some of the CGs were a hit and miss.
Yeah, well, that's on one of my... I didn't like the CGI on Cyborg. Is terrible.
Well,
it's really
that's
bad.
Because they reshot a lot of Cyborg stuff as well.
Right,
do you know when it looks fine now, when he's in the hoodie? And just a little bit of it.
Yeah.
I see that kind of thing that bothers me if a character's supposed to be CGI. Because like Steppenwolf don't look great. I
actually think the thing with Cyborg is I don't think he looks great throughout the movie. So I kind of were like, well, I've seen it. I've got over it. If it looked different throughout the movie, it looked really good at some points. But I think you'd notice it more, but because it just looked like it did at the beginning of the movie. I didn't think it got any better. I thought it was the same. I just sort of forgot about it.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
And going back to Steppenwolf, he don't look great. But you showed me a picture of what Zack Snyder was going to do. So did they have to? Because if I'm right, the comic book character. He's human looking, so why?
Sometimes he is.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. I just saw it.
I think Zack Snyder though likes to put his own spin on things as well. I mean, if you saw, I don't know if you remember the deleted scene from Batman vs Superman that was in the 3-hour cut where Lex Luthor's talking to him in the ship, and that's Steppenwolf, and he looks like a horned creature, and that's more. I mean, more what Snyder was going for. So nobody knows if Snyder's Steppenwolf looked like the Steppenwolf in the film.
It would be really. I just think because it was. I think it's classed as a flop, innit?
Yeah, I suppose it. Yeah.
So,
although apparently it's done quite well on home video.
Well, that'll be interesting because, like I said, I thought it was really fun. I really enjoyed it. My wife enjoyed it. My son enjoyed it. And I think that tells you all you need to know.
Well, I was really pleased that your son enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, I think you thought I didn't like it because I was trying to keep it quiet.
I really thought
I couldn't wait to tell you that. I really enjoyed it.
But I kept thinking because your wife and your son liked it. I'm like, well, you keep telling me your wife and son likes it. I'm like, normally you'd enjoy something if they enjoy it as well. I think.
Yeah, probably, but I don't always. If they don't like something, I don't mean I don't like it.
Yeah, but sorry, going back to Steppenwolf anyway, I thought he looked like if he was in a video game, you'd think, wow, he looks great. But because it was in, but then again, a lot of his stuff was reshoots as well. So say even if you look like that in Snyder's film, it might not look the same. And plus, I said they brightened the picture up, and I showed you that other picture, didn't I, where it was darkened down and it looked a lot better.
He did look a lot better. Yeah,
I thought I didn't do motion capture for the face because when his lips moved, it looked a bit. I don't know. Sometimes I think he had teeth, and sometimes he didn't. I don't know. That was because I made a joke about it.
Like I said to you before, though, I think when I'm enjoying a film, I tend to forgive it for a lot of mistakes. I've watched movies where I've not liked them for one reason. I've watched another movie that's got the same problem, you know, not had the same.
So I don't have many more dislikes. I think I've just got the history of production kind of is distracting. I think if you didn't know going in, I don't think it'd. I think considering it's a very Frankenstein butch to go for, it kind of works, doesn't it? It kind of.
Like I say, I enjoyed it. I think
you can see the seams, but it works. Though.
Yeah, I think if you're going to analyse a movie, then you're going to rip it to bits. Simple as that. But I don't tend to go in and watch something that is fun like I felt this war and analyse it. I don't see the point in that.
Have you got any more?
I've got a few dislikes actually. Kind of one of the things I found when Steppenwolf wasn't on screen, you kind of forgot about him. I don't think he was.
Yeah.
Do you know like how they built up Thanos in Infinity War? I know Marvel have had a lot more time to do that.
Yeah.
But you kind of felt Steppenwolf was this like, he's just a random bad guy. Do you know what I mean? It didn't seem like.
Well.
He was big, and I think they've obviously built up to Darkseid, I guess.
Again, I'd like to see Snyder's got... Because originally Justice League was going to be 2 parts, and the second part was going to introduce Darkseid. In fact, in the film, there's a scene where... You know the scene where Cyborg's breaking apart the United Cube... Not Cosmic Cubes, other boxes. He's trying to pull them apart. There's actually a scene that got cut, and he has a vision and he sees Darkseid, and it was supposed to be in the film, and then it was supposed to lead in Justice League 2. And I assume in Justice League 2 the heroes were going to go to Apocalypse to stop Darkseid invading Earth, but I don't know anyway. But I think it probably suffered a little bit from that as well. I've noticed you've got something about scenes that were cut short and missing. I just want to bring that up actually. You know the scene where Batman stood in front of the gargoyle and Gordon's looking up?
Stop reading my notes.
Sorry, I just had a look. There was a shot where it was like a close-up on Batman, and they've cut out a lot of those close-ups, and it was almost like they were cutting a few seconds here and there to get the film to 2 hours. Because when Diana first kills the Parademon, she does a little smile like she does in BVS when she's fighting Doomsday, and they cut it, and I think you lose something doing that. Yeah,
I do feel there was. I think the quick pace kind of highlights that because it was only 2 hours and it was fun, but at the same time there were definitely bits where you felt like. There's something not right there.
Yeah. At the same time, I kind of appreciated the 2 hours though, because it's almost like sometimes 3 hours. I'm sick of sitting in cinema for 3 hours. I mean, like, sometimes.
Let's just have a quick look on my list. I didn't like the way the Flash ran in slow motion. It looked kind of like he couldn't run properly. It was weird. Well, do you know the way he runs in the TV? So it looked like he's running.
Well, I can tell you why that.
Go on then.
Because apparently he did it. Apparently Zack Snyder did it so that it's not like he's running. It's like he's throwing himself forward. And if you actually watch it, if you watch it now knowing that, you'll probably notice it.
Yeah.
And I think I liked it because I think they needed to change it to the TV series.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Just to mix it up.
He literally just runs in the TV series.
So I've only got one more thing really, and that's Batman in it. I think at the start he's absolutely amazing, and then after that, something just not right. I don't know what's going on with Ben Affleck. Whether he knew before that film that he didn't want to do it anymore, or he was just trying to lighten the character somehow. But something wasn't right. Well, I felt he seemed like the odd one out.
I kind of have an answer on this.
Go on.
They reshot quite a few little bits of his scenes, so I don't know if you noticed in the scene where he's talking to Aquaman, he's sort of a bit more like in BVS, he's a bit more chiseled, and then he's a bit more puffy later.
Yeah, actually, now you mentioned that. I did notice something didn't quite look right.
He obviously had his problems, with depression and all that, didn't he? Because he divorced his wife and that during production, and they went back for reshoots. And in fact, there's a scene where he catches the Flash, and he throws the Batarang at the Flash, and the Flash catches it. There's a little tiny bit that he inserted at the end of that, because I think that scene went on longer originally. And he says, "I'll try to keep up," and you can tell it's a reshoot because the background doesn't look right.
Right.
So I think that, but at the same time, I kind of like some of Batman's humour in it. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the humour. There were just times you looked at him and you thought. But if you're saying that about the depression, then that would absolutely explain everything
and in the
to
day,
me.
there's nothing more important than your happiness.
No. I mean, again, at the end of the day, he's an actor making a film. You know, if something's bothering you. Outside of that, then it's going to affect your movie. But
I pretty much can tell you what's a reshoot and what's not in that film watching it.
But again, still enjoyed it.
Snyder's very wide and the scope, and I think Whedon, because he was very narrow and just
focusing on what.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Joss Whedon's getting a lot of stick for it, and I think it's unfair because the guy had an impossible job.
Yeah, I think when you strip a movie off of someone else, that's difficult to do. And he's got to keep some of his bits, so we're never going to work seamlessly. I mean, who expected that once?
But I think it works a lot better than it's getting credit for, because I think some fans have turned on it because Snyder didn't do it. But I think at the same time, you've got the fans who were saying, "Oh, well, it's rubbish because Snyder did parts of it," and you can't win.
I disagree with some of them on Snyder. I think his Batman vs Superman was way too long. I thought Man of Steel was good. Probably really good, but I felt it was just too serious, and I think this is where they're starting to twist it into more.
Well,
again, I don't want them to go too Marvel, but I do think they've got to draw the family side in like Marvel have.
Well, I think Wonder Woman was the perfect. Draw the family in.
I think it's a really good film.
So, although can we switch to likes now? I just follow that up what you just said about. Although I think Wonder Woman is probably a family film and the best one, I think this is the perfect film to show a little kid. If you're going to introduce him to this universe.
Yeah, probably.
I think you can stick Justice League.
It's a lot more fun. Is it a 15 though? Or 12? It's 12.
Is it 12? But what I mean is, I'd be more comfortable with my son when he's old enough watching this than even watching Wonder Woman. You know, I just think I think it's like a perfect gateway. It's colourful. All the heroes are there. He's not going to notice CGI moustaches and Ben Affleck's face getting a bit fatter and things like that.
It don't bother him at all.
No. I'm just going to get a drink.
I was going to say though, let's try and put him before you. One of my likes was the opening with Batman. I just thought it was absolutely awesome, and I would love to have seen him make a movie just like that.
I think it's very Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. That absolutely brilliant cartoon, probably the best cartoon of all time, if not the best one, definitely one of them. I would have absolutely loved to have seen that.
Well, I'll tell you what,
I don't
know if you noticed, but you know when the criminal first comes through the window, in the window you see Batman's reflection and he's across there. I love that. Yeah, At the same time, I just think there's just something awesome about Batman leaping on top of a parademon. And I when I watched that scene in cinema, I was blown away by it. And everyone thought it was Zack Snyder and it was Joss Whedon.
Yeah, that's a massive surprise, because I actually don't think, if you look at the film, that scene really fits with the rest of the film.
No,
it seems to be completely separate.
I almost wonder, maybe the film was so focused on Bruce Wayne in the Justice League, because I think there's a lot of stuff out of order, you know, compared to, apparently we'll get to it later, but the history lesson with Steppenwolf, that was supposed to be the opening of the film, and it's sort of like it's Lord of the Rings, massive, and you can imagine Snyder doing something like that, Lord of the Rings style scope, massive opening, and then I think it was going to go straight to Bruce Wayne searching for the Justice League. So I think Joss Whedon probably thought, we need something for the Batman fans here.
I think you're just touching on that point. I don't really want to go back into the negatives, but that was another thing actually, that when he teamed up, like, do you want to join Justice League? Oh yeah, sure. It seemed all a bit too quick. There was only Aquaman really that were just like.
I suppose
Cyborg. Yeah. But it just did seem a bit like, oh god.
But I feel like Barry would join straight away.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know. That just seemed a bit quick. I don't know.
Should we sort of go through the film in a bit more order before we? Because I want to go back a little bit. You know the DC intro where you see all the heroes and it's like I think that is absolutely brilliant. I think that's.
And is that the bit that's a bit CGI though?
It's supposed to be like it because it's like an intro to the characters. Like DC, you know what I mean? Like Marvel.
But Marvel do the comic style, don't they? Maybe they just didn't want to copy.
Well, they don't anymore. CGI. I think it's brilliant. I love it. Although I don't like the CG on Superman's face in the opening, I love that opening scene with the kids. It's very Superman, and I feel like because Batman vs Superman, they constantly talk about how Superman, they basically deconstruct Superman in Batman vs Superman, but we don't ever see him as Superman as such, like having a good time and seeing. And I like that moment. I know the CGI is bad, but it's a good moment. And
I mean, again, it was just like you say, it's a good scene though, and you just got to go what shot you got to end it if it works for the film. And it did. But that leads me on nicely to the Wonder Woman, and it is a bank she's in, isn't it, at the beginning?
I think
the building.
I don't know.
I thought it was a bank, but then
no, because there's kids there, so I think it's like a museum or something.
Whatever it is, that scene is superb. What a character, and what a way for her to just come into.
Do you like the bit where she stood upon like the statue?
Yeah,
that's cool,
it just was so. Again, you had the Batman scene, didn't you? And that was straight after, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that opening was just superb.
Yeah, and that guy's from Game of Thrones. Apparently, I never watched it, but he was in Game of Thrones. The bad guy that's going to blow up there.
Oh. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, interestingly, that scene had some reshoots. I'm interested to know what Zack Snyder's version of that was. You'll probably hear that a lot tonight, but
yeah, I think it would be very nice to get Zack Snyder's version, but I do expect it to be about 3 hours.
Probably. Well, apparently he filmed 4 hours of footage. So. Wow. But they always do, don't they, when they make a big film? So
yeah.
Do you want to talk about the introduction to the Flash or anything, or?
I mean, I know my wife, it took her a while to get used to the Flash because she was used to the TV Barry Allen, so she didn't really want him that quickly. I did, and I've actually just remembered one of my dislikes now. I've remembered the Flash. Some of the comedic moments just did not work at all. They fell completely flat.
Yeah, I have.
There were some. Don't get me wrong. There were some. There were about at least 5 throughout the movie that were absolutely hilarious and worked perfectly. But there were some, especially towards the beginning of the movie.
I've actually skipped too far ahead.
Didn't work.
Introduction of Steppenwolf.
And
Themyscira when he's after the mother box.
Oh yeah.
That was a good scene where the Amazons
good.
are.
That's what I mean. I think there's a lot of good stuff in it. I think that's why I enjoyed it, and the opening's really.
I think if you just want to watch an entertaining, fast-paced film, it's there for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I've got to say, Steppenwolf's voice, amazing.
Yeah, I really like
Kieran Hines. Apparently, he's from Game of Thrones as well.
Yeah, because he was in Game of Thrones. He was also in Rome, the TV series. Julius Caesar. He was to be honest, he was superb in both of those programs. But yeah, I think he's a really good actor, that guy.
So we get to the tunnel fight, which is probably my top 3 moments of the film.
Is that the bit where it ends up flooding because the river?
Yeah. They're under Gotham Harbour, aren't they? Yeah. But I really like that the Flash has like a bit of a panic attack, and he's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, because he's not used to fighting.
And that, for me, is one of the best Batman scenes in the film, and he's like, just save one person. And I thought that was like a really, really good moment between those two.
I think that's a very Batman Justice League character, because I think Batman, when he's on his own, is very different to Batman in Justice League.
Yeah. Well, he's all about...
He only wants to work by himself.
He can't scare parademons, can he?
No.
But that whole fight sequence, I think, is absolutely brilliant. And the best moment is when the sword is falling and the Flash runs in Flash time.
Oh, and
I think Danny Elfman's Flash theme is amazing. I think he don't think he gets enough credit for it.
Yeah.
And then he trips up Danny, obviously, which
even going back to the beginning again, Danny Elfman's Batman theme. I mean, that's probably what set it off for me. Just love that theme. I love Danny Elfman's music. Massive fan of his.
Yeah. So the history lesson. Did you like the history lesson with Steppenwolf, where you see all the like Zeus and you see Green Lantern?
Oh that was really good. Yeah, it was really nice to see, and I kept thinking, "Oh, Green Lantern will be in next Justice League movie, hopefully." Cause,
if they met one.
well, surely they've got to after that.
Well, we'll talk about that later. But they're
not going to give up on it now, are they? They just need to.
I think there might be a slow rebuild to another Justice League. That's all I'm going to say. But the history lesson was apparently a lot longer in Zack Snyder's, so I'd love to see.
Right.
I think Zack Snyder's version, probably scope wise, would have been a lot bigger. But that sequence is cool, and then. Obviously, and you've got Aquaman goes to Atlantis.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, and you meet Mira, and they're talking like a bit of a bubble. Apparently, they're not going to talk like that in the Aquaman film. They just did it for the Justice League.
Oh right.
Yeah, and I think that scene's cool as well, where they fight Steppenwolf, and he gets the second one.
Yeah, I think the one thing they've done differently to Marvel is they've just gone right. My Justice League movie, and they hadn't built these characters up so much, so they kind of had to build them up in the movie. Which probably made it harder for Joss Whedon as well to...
Yeah, I mean, if I had my way, I think what they should have done was they should have done Batman vs Superman as a Batman vs Superman, like 2-hour film of them two fighting and teaming up at the end. And then they should have done a Batman Superman with Wonder Woman. And then they could have introduced the idea of finding other heroes and then done Justice League. I think that would have...
at the end, yeah. I think they've got to stop worrying about what Marvel are doing, just do their own thing and just concentrate on their own thing.
Well, I think that's executive studios, isn't it? That's the problem. Yeah. I think filmmakers.
It's Warner Brothers, isn't it?
Yeah, if you leave filmmakers to make a film, they'll probably make you a good film. But I think sometimes there's too many people who want to be involved, because then if it's a hit, they can say, "Oh, that was my idea," and that, etc., etc. So back to the tunnel fight again. So now we've got back there after going on like this. You obviously get to the end when Aquaman saves them and all the water comes in. That's a cool moment, isn't it? Yeah. And then he's obviously got the third mother box.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised how easily he got them all, to be honest. But then,
Cyborg's got the third one at this point, hasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, you know, when he came and he got the third one.
Well, I think in the original version he probably didn't get them that easy.
Maybe not.
Because apparently in Snyder's original version, there was a lot of setup, like the Flash. You met Iris West.
Yeah, well,
I think you saw it. Apparently, you saw Atlantis, and you met Willem Dafoe's character Vulko was going to be an Aquaman.
Yeah, well, that's what I kind of just saying like before that. You know, Josh Whedon probably had it a bit harder because he had 2 hours and you hadn't introduced these characters yet. So that would explain why Zack Snyder's movie is probably going to be about 3 hours long. Yeah. If we ever get to see it.
I hope we do one day. I mean, I'm not holding my breath, but I hope we do one day. So basically, get from
you finally got Richard Donner's cut all those years.
That's true. Yeah. We've finished the tunnel fight, and then suddenly you have the scene where Bruce Wayne and they're all in the Batcave, as the Flash calls it, because he's absolutely excited.
Oh yeah, the CGI bats in that bit looked a bit off.
I didn't even notice. And then obviously Bruce Wayne has the idea of resurrecting Superman, and Wonder Woman thinks she thinks if you're dead, you should stay dead. Which, for me, made me think, well, there's this Steve Trevor thing in Wonder Woman 2, and does something happen when he comes back from the dead or something?
Possibly, it could have been a tease.
And then obviously there's that horrible moment where Bruce Wayne says, "Did Steve Trevor tell you that?" And she pushes him. That was like, it was really harsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they're going to have to sort of explain that Wonder Woman 2.
But there's Cyborg, obviously, because he's got basically a human computer, he does the math and says, "Oh, it actually could work," so they decide to do it. The scene where Bruce Wayne is talking to Alfred about Superman, and he says basically, and Alfred thinks he's talking about Superman's powers, and he's talking about the strength as in he was more human than he was, and I really like that moment. Yeah, I think it's a really good moment.
Well, going into one of my next is the fight between obviously all of them and Superman, where he's walk up, he's a bit confused.
So they get him back. What did you think of how they brought him back then? Do you think did it work for you? Like the mother box and the Flash running.
Yeah, I quite liked it. I thought that was a really tense moment. And you know, don't you? But if you're like me and you let yourself get into it, you're like, "Oh, he's gonna make it. Is he gonna make it? Is it gonna work?" And they're all tense. So yeah, I really liked that bit. But specifically the fight, I thought the fight was really good. But my favourite bit of that entire fight is where the Flash runs around it. And he looks at the Flash, and the Flash is like, "What the hell's going on?" because
the Flash obviously doesn't know he's fast, does it?
No, he doesn't.
So when the Flash is running, he just he's basically got Aquaman here, Wonder Woman there, and Cyborg's trying to push it, and they're not doing it. Basically, this just shows if Superman wanted to kill them all, they could. Yeah, they could probably do it like that. And then the Flash, and he just goes side eye, and the Flash is like, it's that is the moment. But I quite like just going back before that when they're all looking and they all see Superman's back and Flash is smiling, and Aquaman's like, he's not alright. It's absolutely hilarious. I think that was a Whedon insert actually.
Yeah, well, he started it with Marvel, didn't he? I think before that they weren't really as comedic as the
No.
I think he sort of introduced that formula, and I think he was a good guy to get into. Finish it off personally.
The Superman, when Superman and it's Wonder Woman 1-on-1, and he just the headbutt fight. That is
which you know, but they were like, you can't do that.
That is the best headbutt fight in any film I've ever seen. And what I loved about it as well, I think people always think like, oh, Wonder Woman could probably keep up with Super, but she's not on this level at all, is she?
No, she's not that powerful. No.
And I liked that. Then obviously he grabs Batman and he says all the "Do you bleed?" which I thought was a good callback. And
the only thing I didn't really understand was why does he wake up like that? Why is he so angry? Why does he not? Well,
apparently going back to Snyder's cut, apparently he had amnesia and there was a bit of a story about it. Apparently he goes back to the farm. It takes him a long time for him to get his memories back. They don't just come back. But if you notice, I think in Whedon's cut they basically figure out when he sees Lois, it's almost like his memories start to come back because he's going to kill Batman, isn't he? So I guess one of the moments you probably dislike is when Batman says, "Yeah, definitely something bleeding." I take it.
No, I can't remember exactly what the moments of humour were that I didn't like, but there were some of them that just like completely missed the beat. There's a beat to comedy, and if you miss it,
I liked the bit where Aquaman's like telling them home truths, and he's sat on the lasso of truth, isn't he? And,
yeah, that was funny. Yeah, that was.
What did you think to Batman's tactical suit then?
The only thing I thought sometimes with Ben Affleck was Well, he couldn't move that well, innit?
But it makes sense that he'd put on a more armoured suit, doesn't it?
Because I think he's, they say he ain't got a superpower, but I think invincibility is definitely one of Batman's superpowers, because he gets smashed to bits. And when Superman throws him against that car.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's got bruising, but I think you'd probably be dead.
Well, they do kind of show you that, don't they? He's injured and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to the end, he's basically on a kamikaze mission, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's a comic book, and he's a comic version of a human being who can take a bit of damage.
I like and dislike that it was in Chernobyl, because it was cool that they could just let rip and destroy things. But I think the problem with this film is they kind of pandered a bit, because they were like, oh, we got done for doing too much destruction in a city in Man of Steel, so we won't do it. But if you don't have your bad guy in a big city, where's the threat? There was a few people there, wasn't there? But it wasn't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I suppose that the threat was he was taking over something that
he was going to take over the world.
Yeah, he was going to take over the world.
So obviously they get to the big fight, and then they're kind of struggling out there.
Yeah.
And there's that funny scene where the Flash kills all the parademons, and he's like, gross! So Superman turns up, and he's like, he gives his cheesy line, which I loved. People seem to hate it, but I love it. And he's like, oh, you can't see the truth. And he goes, I like truth, and I'm also a big fan of justice. And he punches him. And Superman absolutely destroys Steppenwolf, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I think that is absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I like that. I often find the tone Superman down. I'm a big fan of the big hard Superman who can pretty much destroy anything he wants.
Yeah. Obviously, Superman then flies off to save some civilians, and you get the funny scene with the Flash where he saves a car, and Superman flies past him a building. That was quite funny.
Yeah, that was one that really worked.
And then obviously you've got them all fighting Steppenwolf at that point, and it gets to the point where Steppenwolf starts to be afraid of the Justice League, and the parademons rip him apart. I thought that was cool. Well, apparently, I don't know if this is true. Apparently in Snyder's cut, a boom tube opens up and something happens to him there, maybe.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, because I guess he dies, doesn't he?
Well, I've also heard that Wonder Woman cut his head off, which I can also believe if it's Zack Snyder.
Right.
But it kind of makes sense, because I like that she sort of gets the killing blow in, because end of the day, it was her people that she killed earlier in the film and stuff.
So, she kills him in the end? I can't
no, she smashes his axe, doesn't she? And the parademons eat him, don't they, basically?
And they're in a boom tube.
No, not at that point.
All right.
And then obviously Superman uses his freeze breath the first time, which I was geeking out in the cinema when I saw that for the first time.
Yeah, I liked that.
But the bit where they're ripping the cubes apart, him and Cyborg, well, and they've just basically put Cyborg's leg back on, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, this is why I can believe that Cyborg actually died, because there's a shot of Superman, and he doesn't have the CGI where he's pulling the cubes apart, and I wondered if in the original cut, if Cyborg died and Superman had to pull the cubes apart, which would explain why Wonder Woman has to deal with Steppenwolf. When you think about it like that, in Snyder's cut, maybe.
But if you killed Superman and brought him back, you can't just kill Cyborg off, can you? Without bringing him back.
No, I don't think. I think he was shut down, and I think that apparently the scene at the end where they show you all that now, which we'll get to a point. Apparently, Cyborg scene again. I don't know if it's true. Was him being put in a warehouse in a Wayne Enterprises warehouse. So they're probably to bring him back probably in the next film.
But like I say, if they've done it with Superman,
maybe I thought it was a bit repetitive. Yeah. But I forgot to say the moment when Superman comes back. Did you notice Batman smiled? It always makes me laugh. It was quite funny, because he's really happy that Clark's back.
Just trying to see if I've got any other thoughts on. I wrote you could tell it was Zack Snyder, because it looked very comic booky and parts reminded me of 300, but the part that mostly reminded me of that was the part you said he did. Got that completely.
Well, I know the reshot Superman stuff in the final battle was mostly reshoots, apart from odd little bits in the fight. Like, I think the bit where he beats him up in heat vision, I think that's Snyder.
Yeah. Going back to something we were saying earlier about background and not getting their own movies, I wrote that as well, that I would really like to see that and give him that background that I feel
Aquaman's coming in December, so...
Yeah, well, I'll look forward to that.
Yeah, and then you move on from there, and I liked that Bruce Wayne bought the bank to get Martha's house back. Yeah. It was very extreme, but it was funny. But I kind of like they had that. But
that was another humour moment. Which
and I like that Bruce Wayne and Clark had that moment together as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously you get the end, but it's the montage and Lois Lane's voiceover. And when Superman did the shirt rip in the cinema, I was like, yes, finally. And I've wanted to see Henry Cavill do that for 3 movies now, so it was a big thing for me.
So have you got anything else before we move on to the end credits?
No. That's it for that. I got my Superman moment in that. There's obviously the table in as well in the building, the Justice League headquarters at Wayne Manor.
Yeah.
And I liked that he's like, with room for more and stuff.
Yeah. Well, like I say, hopefully next time they'll bring Green Lantern in, which I'd like to see.
Yeah, well, the Green Lantern Corps movie's supposed to be getting made.
All right.
So
I didn't know that. No.
I think it's in early development anyway, but we'll talk
okay.
about that another time.
So the first mid-credit scene, I'll have to remember what it was.
Sorry. Superman versus the Flash, the race.
Oh yeah, I liked that because I've seen
Funny.
that before. Was that in one of the? It's in one of the cartoons.
They did an episode in Superman the Animated Series where they had a race.
Yeah, because doesn't he sort of smile because he knows he's not as fast as the Flash?
Oh, I think you're thinking of Smallville.
Oh, is that what I'm? Oh, yeah, because he did show.
And
me
the
that
Flash
scene.
just like goes, and it's like, oh yeah. Which the Flash should be faster in my opinion.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Even, I think Superman in flight should be faster than he's running, but not faster than the Flash. He should never be faster than the Flash.
No,
because what's the point of the Flash? Is
yeah,
Superman faster than the
exactly.
Flash?
Yeah, if that's his one power, and it's got to be better than what Superman's many power. You know, he's got many powers, so he's got one that's better. It's like,
and then for me, the killer, the brilliant end credit scene with Deathstroke.
Oh yeah, well I didn't know that bit was coming up, but I'd seen him pitching it. I said to Kelly, I said, "Oh no, that is in the suit." But I didn't. I thought.
Oh, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, I thought I'd read somewhere that he'd. Well, obviously now it seems a bit thick of me to believe that, but that he was trying to get the part, or it wasn't like for the film, but obviously I guess that
I knew he'd filmed for the actual film because Zack Snyder did some storyboards and he leaked that himself actually, funnily enough, way before the film came out. But I thought maybe he'd been cut. And going into the cinema, I managed to avoid the spoilers about that end credit scene.
Well, maybe I saw something like that, but just didn't read what it was.
And I really liked that Lex seemed like Lex. He seemed more like, because in Jesse Eisenberg in BVS is very...
Yeah.
In that, he seemed more like Lex Luthor, didn't he? Like the bald head he looked like.
So that's the bit where it went
a
to
League
him
of Our
laughing,
Own.
and I knew, straight away, like, that's not him, is it? And he turns around, it's some old guy.
Well, some people speculated is that something to do with Joker because they were laughing, but I think it was just a crazy bald guy.
No, he was too old to be Joker.
So basically, it's setting up the Legion of Doom, so I'm hoping that we do get another...
Yeah,
Justice
that's what
League,
I thought, yeah.
Which
yeah,
I've got a theory
on. A team of our own, doesn't he? At the end.
A League of Our Own, yeah.
A League of Our Own, yeah.
Well, I think that the way you do that is you do a lot of solo movies of good villains, you build the villains up, and then everyone wants to see the villains team up, and then they take on the bad guys.
Well, that was a slight disappointment for me, because I'm really looking forward to Darkseid, but my worry is that people who don't read comic books and don't know this thing might think, oh, it's a bit like
I don't think they're going to do Darkseid now, to be honest.
Do you not?
No, maybe in future someday, but they're not following on anything from that. I think they want to move on from Justice League, to be honest, after all the backlash they've got.
Yeah, well, I think the trouble is if you brought one out, and for me personally, I thought it was a fun film, but to sort of, I can understand starting again, in some sense, because Affleck's not going to stay doing Batman, is he?
I don't think so, no. Some people are convinced he is.
Hopefully Henry Cavill will stay Superman.
Well, he wants to, and there's rumours there's another film in development, so...
Well, for me, he sort of, in that film, cemented his legacy as Superman for me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He
loves
Superman.
playing that part. If you've got an actor that's that, and he looks like he's just stepped off a comic page, doesn't he?
Yeah,
you don't let that go, do you?
And I think obviously Wonder Woman, what a great casting that is. Gal Gadot. I think she's just superb.
Yeah.
And if she ever wants to marry me, that's fine.
She's marrying me, so you can't. So can we just talk about the deleted Superman scenes?
You asked me to watch those.
I love those scenes, but they're very Snyder.
Yeah,
a bit slow.
I was speaking to my wife about it, and I presume they took them away because the moment where he comes back into the film has more meaning if you haven't seen them scenes. You kind of like, oh, is he here? Because you're waiting for him to come back, and then you're like, where is he? Where is he? If they put them scenes in, you know he's coming. Where when he done that line that we talked about earlier, then you're like, oh, he's here. Superman's here.
I do get that, but at the same time, you already know because Lois says she's going to send him away again. So you know he's going to save him anyway.
Well, you know he's
I think they took it out for pacing reasons because I think it would have slowed the final battle down a bit.
Yeah, probably must do that.
But it was very much like that moment in Man of Steel where he steps out the ship, I think. And the music was the same, and I wish they'd kept that. So I don't know if you noticed the John Williams Superman theme in this. When he comes back and he says the big fan of Truth and Justice and whatever to Steppenwolf.
It's probably one of those things where you're that used to it that subconsciously you realise, but I didn't.
But I would have preferred the Man of Steel theme because the Man of Steel theme is Cavill's Superman music. Myself.
Yeah, but won't Danny Elfman's Batman not be the Batman?
Well, the Batman theme in BVS was a bit. He didn't really have a theme. He sort of did.
No.
So all that in mind, I do have one thing I want to do, but do you want to rate the film first and then we'll do it?
Yeah, you can do it. Yeah. I think honestly, I have sort of two feelings. Me, when I enjoy a film, I can tend to overrate, and I think I would have done with this. So I've got to look at the film from a more critical sense and a film from an enjoyable sense. From an enjoyable sense, I'd say on a 9 out of 10 enjoyable.
Right.
Thought it was really fun to watch. From a critical side, maybe 7, 7.5.
Right. Okay. So that's where
I'm going to go on it. I'm going to go on 8 because I think it's a solid 8. I think that's a really
Which is
good
why I
rating.
didn't get Black Panther as well.
Yeah, and I do really need to go back and watch Black Panther. I feel like if I watch that again, sometimes I don't know, I just watch a film, and don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, and if you listen to the podcast about that, you probably think from the beginning I don't like it, but when you listen to more what I'm saying, you can tell I did like it, but I feel it didn't hit me the way I thought it might.
I think the thing for me and you, we've always been more, you've always been like, we've always loved Batman and whatever, we've always sort of been more DC, haven't we? And I think for me, being a huge DC fan, I got more geek moments in this film than I got in even in Infinity War I got more geek moments because I'm more into the DC characters, and for me I think that it was like an episode of the animated series.
Did you just say you thought there were more geek moments for you in Justice League than
for me
no, that's fair enough,
because I mean I love Captain America and that, but I don't know a lot about his history, so when I watch Marvel films I don't know.
Well, I think
I'm not invested in
a lot of people will think if you're a comic book reader and you're into Marvel, then you will know these characters are, but before Iron Man nobody would no general public would not know Iron Man, Thor. They probably wouldn't know Incredible Hulk from the TV series, but generally the characters nobody knew them. They built them up absolutely beautifully.
Well, Jeff Johns, who works for DC, always says that the DC characters are icons, and I think that's the perfect way to describe them. Yeah, because everyone knows Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman.
Exactly, and I think that's why it is harder, I believe, for DC when they get this wrong. And I think Batman vs Superman was not the ideal.
It was.
Although I enjoyed it, is not the ideal. I think that's Snyder. I don't think it's the ideal movie for those two. I really don't.
I don't.
And then some people ask how you could have messed that up. Where I don't think it was that bad.
I think Batman vs Superman is actually a good film. I just think it's very niche, and I think it's much like Watchmen in that it is a niche film and it will only appeal to a certain audience. But,
well, I have the same problem with Watchmen as a.
But at the same time, if you said, "Oh, let's make Dark Knight Returns," you'd be straight on front to Zack Snyder because he'd
that's that. Yeah, that.
And I almost wonder if he should have done that. And maybe they should let someone else take on the DC universe.
Well, it probably worked for Ben Affleck because I think
he'd have preferred that 2 films and done. Yeah, 2.
Because I kind of well, there was some moments in Batman vs Superman from. I think he wanted the.
There were a few, He took bits in that.
I think he's always hinted that Ben Affleck is he's that character, is the older version.
So I give Justice League a 7 anyway. I think I'm at a 7.
7.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give it an 8. Really, and honestly, when I finished, I really enjoyed it.
People, 7's a good rating. I think 7's a good rating.
Yeah, no.
I think anything above, I enjoy it. Anything above a 6, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's like I've got to rate against other films, and like Man of Steel, for me, I would rate really high. Whereas I don't think this is anywhere near as good as Man of Steel, for me personally.
Yeah, for me personally, I preferred it.
So now I just want to do a little thing about. I just want to ask you what you thought, like the characterization, taking out CGI, taking out costumes. Just what you thought of characterizations of different characters. I've got a list.
Oh.
So what did you think of Superman basically as a character in the film?
I think it's great. Like I said to you before, I think Cavill's cemented that place. It just look. When you watch. Christopher Reeve, you were always like, this is Superman.
Yeah.
I think now,
even in a very bad film,
you look at him and you think, this is Superman now.
I think the role's his now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So Batman?
Changing. I have mixed feelings. I really liked him in Batman vs Superman, but I felt in this didn't quite work for me.
Right, okay. Wonder Woman?
Amazing. Just think she's absolutely spot on for Wonder Woman.
She's fantastic.
Great character. Yeah. She's Gal Gadot. She's just brilliant.
I see her as like the MVP in some ways. I call her the most valuable player.
I'd agree. Yeah.
The Flash.
I actually wrote there. As I said earlier in the podcast, that my wife, didn't want him straight away, and I didn't. It took me a while to get it, but again, the TV version kind of played into that a lot. I'm used to him. It took me a while to get his humour.
Yeah, okay.
But eventually,
I think if you watched it again, you might feel a bit differently then.
Yeah, definitely, because then once it got into it, it got going.
Cyborg?
He was the one I wasn't sure about.
Really? Because I
really wasn't sure.
I was so invested in his story when I watched it.
I liked him, but he seemed so moody that I was sort of like...
Well, apparently he was moodier in Snyder's Cut and the reshows.
Right. But I understand that at the same time, it's introducing this character. He's just being given all... Can you imagine waking up with robot parts? Yes, it'd be cool.
Well,
but also,
I'm glad you said that.
Worrying.
Do you know who played his dad in it?
Yeah, I recognise the
Joe
actor.
Morton from Terminator 2.
I was going to say to you earlier, is that the guy from Terminator 2?
I am convinced that was intentional.
Possibly, yeah. I was going to say to you,
his end credits bit, he changed his thing to look more like the classic cyborg from the comics.
No, I didn't know.
You don't notice that?
No.
Right. Did I say Aquaman?
No, you didn't.
No, you haven't really talked about him much. What did you think of Aquaman?
Really? At first, when he first started talking, I didn't expect him to talk like that. I didn't expect him to be so brash, but then I thought back to the cartoon, Throne of Atlantis.
Yes.
And he was like that in that one. He started off like that, so he's a bit like, he doesn't understand his responsibilities and everything.
And
so,
interestingly...
Yeah, Jason Momoa, I thought. Because I've watched Jason Momoa a few times, and sometimes
he auditioned for Batman, you know.
Did he?
And then he's offered him...
well, I sometimes think with Jason Momoa... I think like Carl Urban, you're not sure what you're going to get, and then when they're good, they're brilliant. And I thought he was brilliant in this. To be fair,
I'm just going to do two more, and he wasn't in it much. But what do you think of Gordon?
Liked him. He did make me laugh at first because I was thinking of Spider-Man.
Yeah, wait for what? Standing there. I think he looks like a comic book James Gordon though.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but I did like him. But going back to him in Spider-Man, perfect casting.
Yeah.
For that.
And then last one, what did you think of Steppenwolf as a villain? And as a character,
I like that character because he's. I just feel the wanting
massive, wasn't
the wanting enough build up. Yeah, he was big, and I like that he thought he was this big shot, and Superman come and just absolutely smashed him.
Yeah.
It was just like, what's going on? And then suddenly he's like,
he turns up because the Kryptonian's dead, doesn't he? That's why he turns up because there's nothing stopping him, is there? And then obviously he comes back, but So
I want to watch it again now.
Yeah, I think I do actually.
I really do want to watch it.
I enjoyed watching it more this time than I had done the previous two times, which is interesting to me.
I wonder if anyway. I mean, if you're listening to this or watching this, let us know. Did you have you watched it again? Did you like it more? Did you like it less? I'd be interested to know what people think because I think I'll enjoy it just as much. Yeah, just it's fun. I'd
like people to forget the Snyder stuff and just enjoy it for what it is, and even forget the CGI. Just have a good time.
I think that really helped me because I was put off going to the cinema to see this because of all the backlash, and I thought it's going to be rubbish. So my expectations were low, and I found that a lot with films when I lower my expectations, I'll go in to watch a film like it's nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be, and a lot of the times I end up really enjoying a film that people hate.
You can tell somebody a film's amazing, and then they might go see it and be like, well, it's alright.
That's why I try not to tell people I got something as I know with Infinity War. I just loved it, and then when I would try to tell people how good it was, I was trying not to say I loved it. I was trying to say, oh, it's really good, go see it.
So is this a film you'll revisit?
Definitely.
So, just to wrap up, should we give us some plugs where they can contact us?
Yeah, I'll let you do that, Stu.
MarshallBrossProductions@gmail.com for email, and @BrossMarshall on Twitter.
And that's BrossMarshall.
See you next time.